Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity and Love. Absolutely fantabulous experts worldwide with incredible insights. They've often been through some sort of personal transformative journey. It could be near deaths, out of body experiences, just the career that they were on. And in the end, most of these guests are giving service to others. Not everybody. We have international best-selling authors. We've had one Super Soul Sunday Oprah guest. We've had a White House physician to the US president, another doctor who does, disaster relief globally and received a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, and lots of fun guests. If you go and check them out, I don't think you'll be disappointed by a single guest, a single episode. And we're also booked all the way out to 2026 for a tiny little show. We have just literally the most amazing people who are sharing their energy, their time, and their love with us and with you. And with you, if you could do any liking, sharing, comments, emojis count, and subscribe, that helps the show reach many others out there. We're working on the whole algorithm thing. We'll figure it out. Today, coming to us from France, total intuitive medium talent. She does it her way, and she's super humorous, lighthearted, hypersensitive, and just has a big heart, big soul. She's here to help everyone if you want to reach out to her. Emmanuelle McIntosh, although she's booked way out. Coming to us from the Brittany area is how I'll put it, but she's going to have a better description in a second. Emmanuelle, very nice to meet. Very nice to have you on the show, and thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for the invitation. It's my pleasure.
Okay, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with today, what you do for folks, or do you want to start with how it all began?
However you want to.
Why don't you give us an overview? Let's take you to up in the sky. Give us the big, broad picture of how you help folks today.
I think I'm a channeler, so I'm an intuitive. I help people in connecting with their deceased loved ones. I help people in connecting to their spiritual teams, their angels, their guides, collective energies. I really, it's not really limited with me. It's not very boxed in. When I channel, I can receive information from different dimensions, planets, anything's energy. So as long as it's energy, I have somehow came into this world with the ability to translate energy and to put that in a way that people can understand it and connect with it. I do that very naturally. I don't really think about what I'm doing. I just basically open my mouth and this will stop, it won't stop talking for a whole hour. Sometimes even 2 hours. Sometimes I have a hard time shutting it down. Yeah, I think, channeling, connecting, it can really it can be life-changing, it can be comforting, it can be a healing. Really, I think, everybody experiences a channeling with me in a very unique way, and it'll provide for them whatever it is they need at that time. And, sometimes it's insight, sometimes they're very clear. They'll be like, okay, well, this is what you're meant to do. Why aren't you doing it? Sometimes they give you a little nudge of the butt. Sometimes they're very very gentle, very soft. I always trust that spirit will communicate to them in a way that is suited for them, that is going to be most receptive. So every channeling, every reading is very different. I started a long time ago with meditation classes. I was a meditation teacher. I've always been channeling, but I was doing it much for family and friends and people I worked with, and I never thought, wow, let's make a business out of this. Let's do this professionally full time. But somehow I ended up doing it anyway. Just the universe collided, and my guides were getting kind of fed up with me. Why aren't you doing what you're meant to do? I kept getting harassed during my meditation sessions. So after a while, I was like, okay, fine. Let's do it first. Let's do it full time. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm kind of weird. I don't like to label what I do either. It just, everything is energy. Therefore, you know, I can connect to anything that is energy, animals, plants. I talk to my tree every day. I get communications with that. Um, so I help where I can, wherever people feel like they need some clarity, some guidance, some healing, some connection. In many different ways of forms, I try to assist with just simply connecting to a broader spectrum of energy. And yeah, that's kind of what I do.
How do you describe the universe? This is only sort of an eternal question here, but how do you describe it? Is it love the fabric of the universe? What are your words?
For me, the universe is a high vibrational source of energy, and people will call that love because it is very warm, very pleasant, it just makes you feel really good. So it's kind of like a big warm blanket. That's what my universe is like. That's how I see it. A big warm blanket, the blanket that makes us feel safe, and the blanket that makes us feel like we're always in a good place. I think that's what the universe is, and we choose to have certain experiences within that universe in order for energy to continuously reshape and transform itself, because that energy has to constantly be in a state of transformation. So I think that's why we choose to have incarnations, and we choose to create and reinvent ourselves over and over again. It's not just, some people think it's a punishment. Why am I here? Other people think it's like an eternal uh, obligation that we're forced to reincarnate. I don't feel it like that at all. I don't Spirit never talks about anything being forced. It's always free willed. It's always, you know, uh with the intention for every creation, every energy that's constantly splitting itself, creating, self-creating, transforming, ascending. It's all about constantly energy kind of being sent out, reabsorbed energy being sent out, reabsorbed, but it's not anything negative, or it's not anything that's like forced upon you. It's really kind of a desire of every soul, every spirit to transcend and to ascend closer to a kind of source energy. So yeah, I see everything as very positive and bright.
Thank you. And I had a really technical question about your readings or service that you offer. Do people get a recording at one level? That's one question. But is there any idiosyncrasy to when you're doing it? Do you sometimes doodle? Are you closing your eyes? Are you opening your eyes? You're letting it loose. Is there something people don't realize that does happen that's extra that they would never know about if you didn't say it on the show? Maybe you're seeing with your eyes shut sometimes, but you can't show somebody what you're seeing, but you describe it maybe. Can you give us a little more flavor on that? But first, do you give recordings of what you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody gets a recording. Because and the reason I'm giving recordings is because I've noticed that a lot of people will revisit the recording, whenever they feel the need to. They're in a bad place, they're like having a bad day. It just really kind of lights them up again. And I've also noticed that so many people are emailing me afterwards. Like every time I rewatch your recording, I hear something I didn't hear before. And it's just simply because with every step they are ascending. Every time they watch the video, they take the advice, the spirit guidance to heart, they do something with it, they're changing their vibration. And so whenever they change their vibration, they are now receptive to information they weren't receptive before, because they hadn't reached that level of connection yet. So that's why I think it's very important that they have a recording, because I know there's information in there that they might now at the moment they have the session might not be ready to receive, but it will, as all this information is being transferred and processed and utilized. And so yeah, the recording I think is very important. As for my the way that I work, the way that I channel, I think I'm very open to everybody who has a session. I just kind of explain the process. I doodle. I do doodle. It usually at the beginning, just to kind of get the connection going. It's kind of like my little permission slip for spirit to come forward to step in. I imagine and envision kind of like a doctor's waiting room, like they're in the waiting room and I'm ready to open the door and they can come in one at a time. That's kind of the intention that I send out on a visual aspect. And yeah, when I channel, for me, everything always starts with feelings, very deep feelings. I've been through a lot of trauma myself as a child. Life has been tough, growing up. Not because I had bad parents, but my parents had a lot of demons themselves, and they had a lot of problems. And my grandfather raped me as a child, and just living in extreme poverty, and it was just challenging, I think, for my parents and for everybody. And I think that was my best learning school, though, because it taught me one, I started meditating at a very early age. I didn't know I was meditating. I would lock myself in my room and just listen to classical music for hours and hours staring at the ceiling. So had no clue that that was my way of meditating. I was just trying to escape, the hustle and the bustle and everything that was going on. But it kind of always brought me to this this kind of transformative space where I could disconnect from everything and where I could connect to something that was much bigger than myself. So my way of escaping my physical reality was kind of my introduction into, having a deeper connection with what is beyond what we can see. And also, it kind of helped me to, I went through such a roller coaster of emotions. It really helped me to tune in to what every slight little different of emotional status, kind of what it felt like on an energetic level. So I started to unconsciously program myself to pick up on these subtle differences of emotional, of being in a certain emotional state. So yeah, I think my past is again, there are no coincidences. That was part of the plan for me to really be able to, tune into energies to such a degree where I can hear names. I can feel letters. I know that sounds weird, but I can feel letters. I can feel names. I can literally feel certain things that, from a human perspective, you can't really feel that, but I can somehow. And it's hard to explain, it's just a knowing, I guess. So, yeah.
Do you want to just plug your husband? Is it Gerald? And he's an energy healer as well. What does
Mhm.
he do for folks, just so people hear it?
So Gerald is an energy healing, but he kind of does it in his own way. He never really had training. But when I married Gerald, and our story is really funny because Gerald was a soldier. He was in the war in Iraq, and I had just come back from living in America for 3 years, and I had just come back, and um, I really miss talking English. I miss my American friends. So this was a long time ago. So this was before Facebook or any of that. There was a thing called chat rooms, and I had never gone to a chat room. And I was like, oh, maybe there'll be some American people there. So I was like, is there anybody here from America? And he just popped up somehow. And he's like, yeah, here I am. And so we started talking, and I think in one week he asked me to be his girlfriend online. Now, remember, there were no videos yet. We didn't have cameras yet. So um, he hadn't seen me yet, but we had chatted. And for some reason, he couldn't get me out of his head, and I couldn't get him out of his head. And it was just kind of crazy. And I said yes. So he called me for the first time. I think a week later, he called me. It was the first time he heard my voice. He still hadn't seen me. And he asked me to marry him, and I just blurted out yes. And I think we saw each other for the first time 6 months later. And then I think 6 months later, after that, we got married. Um, we always had that intuitive connection. Now, everybody said we were crazy, but we've been married for over 20 years now. It just felt right. So, and I'm a very, like, if it feels right, I never use my brain. I don't use my thinking.
Mm.
I am complete, I go completely off what I feel. And so I've done the craziest things according to other people. To me, they were never crazy because it felt right. So, so let's just go for it. But, so when I first started doing this, I noticed very quickly, no, when we first, were together, I always noticed that Gerald's hands would light up. He had this kind of glow around him, and he didn't really realize it himself. And he told me once when he was little, he used to be able to see things ahead of time. And he told me the story about his sister who was had to go through severe surgery, and he had a dream, and the dream was that his sister was bleeding to death on the operating table. And so a few hours later, his mother had called, and yeah, so they couldn't stop the bleeding, so he had seen that. And he really got scared after that, and he kind of shut it down. It just freaked him out, and he shut it down. And so when he first started living with me, he wasn't really a believer in anything that I did. He loved me to bits, but he was like, yeah, okay. He was just accepting it, but wasn't really supportive in that, oh my God, that's so cool. He was just kind of like, okay. Um, and so one day, his friend who he lost in Iraq because of an IED bombing um, stepped forward, and I had never met him, and I had never really talked to him. So, and he started just blurting out all these details about his life and about his family and the problems he had, and his blue truck and his guitar and how he misses hanging out with Gerald at certain bars and all of that. And Gerald just looked at me with his mouth open. He was like, okay, okay, there's something to this. And so I started to help him to meditate because he wasn't big, oh, this isn't working, this isn't working, he was really fighting it at the beginning, and but I eventually got to a point where he was able to actually move into his meditation. And so he had this one experience, and my Gerald did not cry. He's not a crier. And in this experience, we went into a really deep meditative state, and he saw his friend who was deceased, and he stepped forward in his meditation, and he didn't say anything, Gerald said. He just put his hand on my shoulder, and I started crying and crying and crying. And then he took him flying. Like, it's almost like he was trying to show him, look, this is who you really are, not this physical body stuck on gravity. You're so much more than that. And so Gerald went through all these memories that he had forgotten when he was little. He started seeing all these memories, almost like like his friend just kind of lit something, things he had forgotten. And it became so overwhelming that he started getting a headache from it. And so when he woke up out of his meditation, he was just bawling. And I was like, what's going on? So he told me the story. And he said, oh my God, these memories keep coming, and I don't know how to shut it off. So eventually we asked for them to stop it because it was too overwhelming for him. But that's when he started to realize that, hey, I have something too. There's a connection here. And it's almost like his friend was trying to tell him that, was trying to share that with him. And so he started doing healing under my kind of guidance. Because I noticed whenever he held my feet or he held my hands, I noticed my hands were just feeling better. Everything's always immediately felt better after like 3 minutes. I was like, wow, you really have something you don't even realize. And so we started working on that. And yeah, so what the difference is, so he does hands-on healing, but he also does it remotely. And Gerald does it kind of in a unique way. So according to what Spirit has told us, he makes this. Gerald is very visual, a very visual thinker. I am not. I'm not a visual thinker yet. Visualizations come when I channel, but when I try and like with intention to like get my kids' faces in my head, I can't do it. But when I channel, it comes very easily. But I can't do it directed. And so what they showed me was Gerald visualizes a space, And so he creates kind of an interdimensional station where he goes and takes the client, and then he really talks with the soul. So it's not just sending healing and there you go. It really is trying to get to the foundation, the root of the physical aches or pains, the emotional pain, really trying to get to the root and working with the soul to release it. And so he does that in a meditative state. And then, yeah, it's like activating the self-healing abilities of the people themselves by removing some of the energy, making peace with some of the trauma that might be causing the physical aches and pains. So it's a little bit different than just, I guess, sending energy or sending healing energies. It goes more profoundly, I think.
And you mentioned something really beautiful, and that how much you trust your heart and follow your heart. Can you take us through that? How, if everyone would follow their heart a little bit more, just 7% more a day, it would make it the biggest difference in the world, not just in their lives, but in everyone else's too. What's that all about?
Well, I think for me, I mean, I've always been kind of a stubborn soul. And so I've never really liked to be told what to do. I've never really liked structures or institutions like school, and everything was so regulated for you. I never really liked that. I have this, I don't know, inner desire for freedom, for being able to completely, in a way, guide your life the way that you see it fit, not the way that societal norm or demand requests it. So I've always been born with that kind of natural, rebellious stage, if you will. Um, but I've noticed, the more people I help to just simply flow with life, to just let go of preconceived ideas, just follow what feels right today. If you really focus on today, then your tomorrow is going to be great. It's going to be awesome. But people are so trained and programmed to always go towards some goal somewhere far in the future. As long as you go towards that goal, you'll be happy, or you will find happiness. But in the meantime, people are miserable trying to get there. Um, when you just follow your feelings, your intuition, yes, life is going to give you ups and downs, but you have to see everything as just an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to make you stronger, an opportunity to show you just how strong you really are. If you approach everything like that, then there's no need to be fearful. And then we can just kind of, sit on our little canoe and let the universe take us on the ride that we're meant to have. I think it's really important to, yeah. I always say this, and I truly, I know this to be true. This is my truth. Um, there's two aspects to you. You have the human aspect and then you have the spiritual aspect. And the spiritual aspect is always present in the higher realms. It's just putting its consciousness temporarily into a vessel in a lower vibrational plane so it can have experiences that we cannot have in our natural state in order to make things more clearer to ourselves about ourselves, right? So I trust that that aspect of me has it all figured out. I don't need to have everything figured out. I don't need to know every step of where are we headed, where are we going. I trust that she knows exactly what she's doing. Why? She's got a much better perspective than I do. She can see future, past, and present. She knows what to, what to do to get where, what experiences she wants to have. I'm the human aspect, from the human aspect here. I'm just here to experience it. I'm here to go along with it, to feel it emotionally, intellectually, and energetically. I'm here to feel what she is planning. And so when you kind of surrender to that, that is the intuition. Your intuition is in your heart space. And that is your higher aspect talking to you, guiding you, communicating to you. Trust her. She's your best friend. He or she or it is your best friend. The moment you start trusting that guidance, right? And that you're just here to experience it, to feel it, on that very physical level, on that from that perspective of duality, then life becomes much easier. You don't have to worry or get so many people live in fear because they don't see the steps. Where am I going? I don't know. It's okay if you don't know. Just do what you feel is right today. Follow what brings excitement today. Follow what you're passionate about today. Be the best person you can be today. Be giving, be loving, be compassionate, because everything you send out, you will receive. That's just how it works. What you feel, not what you think, what you feel, you will receive back. Thinking is just a tool to help create emotional content, but everything comes from an emotional expression. So what you send out is just mirroring back to you. So you don't need to worry about bad things happening to you if you're in a good place, if you're trying to stay in a high vibrational state while being in physical form, completely trusting the guidance that's being given. So when you can do that, then you're living on an intuitive plane, and you can just enjoy much more intense, much more deeply what you're doing with each day, even if it's not grand, right? People have this idea, we've been programmed that you have to do enormous things in order for it to have value. But everything has value, and we do so much. People think, oh, all I do is I get up, I eat, I go to work, I come back. No, you're doing so much more than that. You're getting up, check. You decide to get up. Congratulations. You should be very proud of yourself. It's not easy getting up in the world that we observe right now. You make your bed, check. Look at that. You've done already so much. You've made yourself breakfast. Boom. You're eating. You're feeding this wonderful vessel. Oh my God, look at all those things you've already accomplished. Those are all accomplishments. We accomplish so much in a day, but we're only looking and valuing the big things, but all the small things, each and every one of them, getting out of bed, feeding your kids, taking them to school, whatever it may be, saying hello to a total stranger. Those are all tasks that you accomplish on a day-to-day basis that make your life wonderful, that make your life valuable, worthy of something. So we don't need to do big things for life to be valuable. We just need to follow our heart, follow our intuition, follow that guidance, free of fear. It has to be free of fear. If there's fear involved, then that's the human mind playing tricks on you. Your intuition has to be free of fear, because where the intuition comes from, the guidance, there is no fear. So if there is fear involved, recheck, disconnect from the fear and just kind of go back into the heart space. But yeah, living more intuitively is something that I had to learn. I'm an Aries, and I was very much goal oriented at some point, because that's just how you're programmed. Your parents, your teachers, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? What you going to, there's always these questions. I never really had an answer to any of those questions, and I still don't. I have no clue where I'm going, but I know where I am today, and I think that's great. So I know that I can help today. I know that I can make a difference in people's lives. I know that I can, help people in need if they need to. I'm always here. My door is always open, and that makes me very proud of my life. I have two handicapped children. They're both autistic. And I know I make a difference in their life, and they make a difference in mine. Everything is a success story if you choose it to be. And I think if people start living that way, and they start to disconnect from that very kind of programmed idea that we need to have everything figured out, if we disconnect from that, we're going to be much more successful, much more productive, and we're going to truly start living in the moment, being very mindful of all the blessings that you have. You're able to eat today. Congratulations. That is a wonderful blessing that is bestowed upon you. So, you can pay your bill. Hey, Look at you. Those people trusted that you were going to pay the bill and you did. Yay, you. Look at that. It's really about seeing a gifts in everything. And if you can live that way, life, in my experience, becomes much more calm, much more balanced, much more easier, and much more abundant. So, yeah.
Can we go on just a little bit more along this vein? Because if we flip the pancake and we've got Suni in Tokyo, we've got Jane in Cape Town, and we have Bernard in Berlin. If I said, this is what Angel said, you can be happy now in this very moment without a single reason. Can you take it from that perspective? Again, we flip the pancake, but from people who are living their lives daily, do you have any other extra tips that go along that line? How prove it that they could really be happy now in this very moment without a single reason? How do they prove it? How do they not prove it? How do they let go and get to here?
Well, the question is, why do they need to prove it? It's something that you need to become. It's not something you need to convince yourself of. And that's where the trick is. How do you become your truth? I see a lot of people who are on the spiritual path, who are waking up, who are starting to question their realities, question themselves, question their decision making. And the thing is, um, until And that's the hard part, isn't it? Because there's not really an explanation how to feel something. But until you actually feel your truth and until your actions and your reactions start to reflect back what you know to be true, until that point, you're always going to find that you're kind of in limbo, you're struggling. And I think that a lot of people who are waking up, at first there's this grand joy. Oh my God, I get it now, right? First comes the happiness, and then comes kind of a downfall, a downward fall, because now that they know all this truth, what do they do with all of that? And how do they apply that into their lives? And that's where most people struggle, is the application. And it comes down to one thing, I think, and to one thing only, and it's to no longer be fearful. What is there to fear? We all eventually go home. The entire consciousness will reemerge with the other aspect of self. Everything's beautiful. You were never in danger to begin with. So, if you truly understand the universe, you know that, and it's fun that science is now catching up, isn't it? The consciousness does not stop with the brain. Science is now proving that, which is really great. So, yay on science. You guys are doing great. But, keep up the good work is what I would say. But, yeah, think about it. Why are we so scared? I mean, the key is fearlessness. What are you scared about? If everything out, people know and understand the law of attraction. If what you send out is what you receive back, then why are we so scared of the outside world? If we're eternal beings, and this is just a glimpse, this is just a dream state. Dying, Spirit always tells me dying is easy. It's like waking up. It's like, wow, that was an intense dream. That's death. Being born is a whole different ballgame, they say. That's a lot more intense, a lot more painful, because you go into the body and the body's being squished out. But dying is just simply, waking up from a dream state and realizing that it is a dream. Um, if death is simply, you going home, transitioning, ascending the vessel and moving into a higher dimensional plane, then why are we so scared of dying? I mean, when you become fearless and you understand that nobody really can hurt you. There's people who've been locked up in prison, just look at Nelson Mandela. I mean, they were never really in prison because their heart could never be in prison. Their soul could never be in prison. They knew that. So nobody can really hurt you unless you send that out, that you give that permission slip. So the biggest thing for me is, become fearless in your creation, own your creative powers, understand that you're a divine source of creation. You didn't come here by accident. This was all, you had a big plan. You had great intentions for this. You chose a journey and a time a human time on a human timeline where there's massive things to be experienced, expansion at this time is massive. So your soul is like, hell yeah, we're gonna do this. This is gonna be exciting, This is kind of like going surfing, Let's hit the waves. It's gonna be dangerous, but it's gonna be cool. That's really how our souls are seeing it. So, I hear so many people too, including my mom sometimes. She's like, people are so dumb. They're so, and I'm like, no, you know, having a human experience is one of the bravest things that a spirit can do because it's such a complex experience. It's such an emotional experience. There's so many other entities that we can choose from, so many other planets, so many other things, but having a human experience, really, it is courageous to undergo that. And then doing it during, an ascension, a time of ascension, something that in the human timeline has not yet been accomplished while everybody was still alive on the planet. Planets ascend all the time, their vibrations change, but they usually do it when there's not much life on the planet, when there's an ice age or anything like that. But this is the first time, according to what my spirits have told me, in the history of the universe, where a planet and all of its inhabitants, the animals, the plants, the humans, and all the other beings that are living on this planet, are simultaneously ascending with the planet. This has never been attempted before. This is a unique thing. That's why there's so much ET, attention right now. They're really observing this. Like, are they going to make it? Are they not going to make it? What's going on? We're kind of like the best show in the universe right now. Everybody's observing whether or not we can pull it off to ascend while being on the planet, to ascend with the planet while being in physical form. So, I mean, we guys, all of us are like, we were excited about this, okay? You guys were all excited about this. So every day that you're still here is a victory. Every day you're still here. You're doing something that nobody's ever done in the universe, ever in the history of existence. This has never been attempted before. So you have to really look at it as going, yeah, man, I am the shit, like they say. It's just how it is. We're awesome. And we don't have to do massive and become superstars and become rich as hell. No, just you being here is that unique piece of the puzzle that is necessary to make the picture complete. We're all valuable. We're all here to provide or to assist this ascension for happening, and to challenge us back and forth, right? Every relationship is there to challenge us and make us stronger, make us more self-aware, make us more ascended within our own being. So everything and everyone has a role to play and is doing exactly what they need to do. And if we let go of that feeling like I'm not doing enough, or I'm not accomplishing anything. I lost my job and this and that. Look, everything happens with reason and intention. Sometimes we lose things to create space for new things. Sometimes the relationships change and transform. Doesn't mean that relationship failed. It just simply means that both entities have gotten out of that relationship what they needed to have, what the original intent was for that relationship. And now we're creating a different energy, different dynamics in order to create more space for new relationships to come in, or to learn from a different angle towards each other, seeing each other in a different light. So everything really can be looked at from a positive, expansive perspective, but it's a choice. And that's the thing. You have to choose to become fearless. You have to choose to no longer go along something that really doesn't exist within your essence. It's not something that actually exists. It is a concept. It's an idea, but it's not a component of your essence. And so if you choose to simply be you, the true you, the authentic you, and choose to live your life authentically according to what feels right to you, not according to what society tells you, not according to what the world tells you, or even family and friends tell you, when you just become fearless in being you, and you allow yourself to expand naturally from that being, then, the puzzle pieces will start falling together for you. You'll start to see the temporary path, and the path keeps building. The closer you get, then you see another piece, and then you go there, and then you see another piece. So we don't need to see the whole yellow road to the end of Oz. We simply need to see 2 steps ahead, and that's it. And as long as we have those 2 steps, we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep um, uh, following a path that is more aligned with our truth than it is with a collective view of what life should be like. Because nobody really fits into one preconceived idea of what life should be, because every soul comes here with very unique intentions and very unique desires of experiences to be had. So we can't just put everybody in one little cubicle. It's just not possible. And I truly and strongly believe that we're all here with a gift. We're all here with a gift, and that gift is love, and that gift is passion, compassion, and really understanding that even the gift of a smile, the gift of a hello, the gift of just being there for someone, listening to them, comforting them when they're crying, that is the most powerful gifts that we possess, and it can change the world in my book. That's kind of how I see it.
I've got another quote from Angels that's just what you said, and I happen to have it right in front of me. But then I'm going to read you 3 quotes because we're going to have you take another taste or sip from that champagne bottle of cosmic consciousness and love and fun because you're sparkling away. Here's the easy quote just about love and what you just said. Sometimes the person next to you or a stranger just needs validation via love and compassion. A smile changes any moment. So too does laughter or a few kind words. Be compassionate to all. Do it. Do you like
And
that?
it's so simple, isn't it? It's so simple, and it can literally change lives. It can literally change lives. Um, I see it every day, just being there for a person, or, some people are in a state of distress, they're grieving, just a hug, just sitting there. A lot of people, I was channeling the other day, I channeled Yeshua, and because I have a Patreon page, and in once a month Yeshua comes through, and the last one was about he called it the miracle of crying. And he was talking about how we've been programmed to hush people. "Oh, it's okay, don't cry," to really kind of try and shush them. And it's not, we don't do it with bad intentions, but for some reason crying always makes people uncomfortable. And the thing is, just allowing people to cry is an expression that is necessary. It's Crying is a way for the body to release all these energies that are toxic, that are just building up and creating toxicity within the body. So we need to cry, and we need to embrace crying. Cry as much as you want, he said. It is God's gift, he said, for cleansing the physical vessel. So just sitting with somebody. A lot of people feel uncomfortable when somebody is crying, or is really in a sad place, and they don't know what to do, and just know that just sitting with them in silence, letting them cry, just hugging them, rubbing their backs, just make them feel comfortable and make them feel safe, that this is a safe place where they can cry. That can change futures. It can literally take people from one direction into the next. I think we just underestimate from the human perspective. We don't see the ripple effects that simple gestures can do, because everything has energy. Whether it's just sitting with somebody, talking about whatever, um, hugging, kissing, just having some coffee with somebody, it can literally change the course of their future creation, and I think people don't stand still with that. So if you don't have much to give, because people always think, oh, giving is, oh, finances, I got to give them money, or, homeless people, I don't have any money to give myself. And then I feel bad. And then I just try not to look at them because I feel bad. Just sitting them and hearing their story can help them heal, or can make even help heal you, because you're going to see life from a different perspective, for example. So we really need to embrace the simplicity of life. We're making it much more complex than it needs to be. If you start living, it's almost like you have to master the foundation of life. A lot of people they want to do all these great things, and they want to be a big influence, and they want to be seen and heard, and they want to get all the likes and the little hearts and all of that stuff. But I think 90% of humanity don't even master just the simplicity of mankind, of being human, listening to themselves, loving the people around them, loving people who might not have the same opinions than you, still being able to see them as they're just going through their own journey, having their own perspective on a reality, a version of this earth reality, because there's an infinite amount of parallel reality versions of this earth. So, people think that because we're interacting, we're in the same frequency of earth, and that's not always the case. We can interact with individuals while they might be having a whole different parallel version of the same earth than you do. So, when people argue and people judge each other, and it really breaks my heart, because people just don't understand that you're both right. Look, you're both right, because you don't know what version they're experiencing of this earth. Which reality are you seeing? Which reality is the other person seeing? Every parallel version of this earth has slightly different, um, uh, experiences. How would I explain that? For every time you come as an individual, every individual has decisions to make. All these possibilities have been created into reality, and they are all accessible on a certain frequency of a parallel version of this earth. And so that means that with every decision you've ever made, those parallel versions take on their own life. And so that's why you get the Mandela effect and all of that. Because in certain versions, people made different decisions. Same people, same projects, but slightly different than the version that you're used to. And so every morning, you never know which reality you've chosen to align with. So that's why people are seeing all these Mandela effects. And now I'm going off into the Mandela effect thing. But it's just because as every day you change, your frequency changes, it shifts, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It's really kind of a roller coaster of frequencies. It all depends on how we choose to feel. It all depends on how we choose to see our day. That's why it's so important that today is the most important day of your life. If you want to have a great future, then today is the day that you have to remain in a vibration where how that reality is going to make you feel, you have to feel it today so you can then align with it. So that's why I think it's so important to live mindfully, to live one day at a time, to simplify life. Don't make it over complex. You don't need to know all the steps. You don't need to know where you're going. You just need to know where you are and be grateful about it and be happy about it and be hopeful. Knowing that great things are coming. I am just getting ready to align with it, to really stay in that high vibrational space. And in that day, you be the best version that you can be. You show compassion and forgiveness. Even if people drive you crazy, you just go, I forgive you. Let it go. Just understand that they might not be on the same parallel version of Earth than you are. And so what they are convinced about, to the core, they will fight for that belief, because in their reality, that's how it is. In your reality, it's a whole different thing. So can we just understand that, hey, I still love you. I know I still love you. I still care for you, even though we're completely different versions of the same earth. we're all just souls trying to have experiences in order to expand ourselves. Um, if we can start seeing it from that angle, nothing is linear. There's not one version of the earth. There's so many versions, and everybody's on their unique vibration of that parallel version. And so therefore we don't need to all be aligned with our perspective, with our opinions. Um, we don't need to convince people of our truths. People will find your truth if they're ready to align with that vibration that you're at. So we can just find love and compassion and forgiveness and just kind of, yeah, accept that we chose this world for the variety. Okay, not so everybody was the same and everybody's just another copy of one another. We liked the variety because it pushes us to go inward. If somebody has a different opinion and they want to verbally attack you or they want to, you know, okay, how do I deal with that? How can I make sure that I'm not attacked? Why do I feel attacked? I mean, that person's not really doing anything to me. He's just using words and expressing his perspective, and it doesn't align with mine. But why do I feel attacked? You know, there's so much to be learned there. And so, if we can start to live our day mindfully in the moment, truly looking at everything from a perspective of, oh, we're all having this together. Look at this. We're having a moment. Okay, what is this going to teach me? When we look at life from that, then yeah, everything becomes much more easier. And so we start to live with just going with the flow. We start to become fearless because we don't see ourselves anymore as victims. We don't victimize ourselves anymore, or we don't feel victimized by the outside world or by other people. We start to align with the truth. And the truth is, you're here to simply have an experience in the emotional realm, the lower vibrational physical realm. It's a temporary thing. Everything ends up okay at the end. You're going to be fine, and let's show ourselves how to be our most natural, authentic self, which is loving, compassionate, which is understanding that we're all here to have that unique journey, and we're all here to have connections with one another to push us, to challenge us, but also to love us and to support us. And both are equally valuable. So if we can see everything as valuable and we can see ourselves as a valuable, indismissible piece of the bigger puzzle of the universe, then I think self-love will grow, love for others will grow, and that's how we're going to make a better world for ourselves.
Beautiful. As
Mhm.
promised, I'm going to give you 3 to 4 quotes. And at
Okay.
the end of this, can you play Guru and give us a mantra that if you said it a lot, or you said it thousands of times, over and over again, your vibration might expand, whatever. But the point is, these quotes should be right up your alley. You've been talking this way the whole time. But here are 3 or 4 quotes. Chogyam Trungpa in 2020, Tibetan Buddhist monk, teacher, passed over, reconciled. This journey is real, more real than the waking dream of your usual life. Pay attention. I love that one. I feel like you've been talking that way the whole time. Another one from him, the way to experience nowness is to realize that this very moment, this very point in life is always the occasion.
Mhm.
And then from Gary Zukav, you change the way that you shape the light, which is flowing through you by changing your consciousness. And then the last one, this is anonymous. Your reality mirrors your perspective. As you allow, so grows your compassion for all. Want change? Merely change how you choose to view. And I feel like you were just saying that. So with
Yeah, wonderful. I love them.
that was
You
from
know,
Glow Stick Zen, a book from 2014 that the crew wrote. I just saw balls of light as I was typing. But if you had to do a T-shirt quote, it could be a really big T-shirt. You can use the back, so you're not limited by words. What's the mantra you would give us? So this is a challenge because mantras are generally short and sweet. What do you got for us?
hold on, I have to think about that one. Usually the mantra that I repeat myself is I am the universe. It's very simple, but it's very powerful. When I go to bed, um, I repeat it over and over again, and it's kind of weird, but my body starts vibrating all over it. So I can literally feel like I'm on this vibrational plate. Um, the thing is, when we're in our human perspective, when we are in this temporary vessel, and we're not really in it, the vessel is inside us, but that's a whole other ball game, you know. People think our soul is inside this body. It's not. It's actually the soul, and the body is within it. The soul is massive, massive, massive. Your soul actually holds this entire planet and its galaxies within it. So the soul is much larger than people think. That's a conversation for another time. But I think the biggest issue that people have having the human experience is they feel disconnected. They feel disconnected from God. They feel disconnected from the universe. They feel disconnected from their spiritual team. They feel disconnected from their deceased loved ones. And they even feel disconnected from themselves. Like so many people are going through life and they don't even know who they are. They're like, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing here? Like, I feel so lost. They're so disconnected from that source of all knowing. You know all the answers. You came up with it before you came here, but it's the idea, the belief, the definition that people align with that they're disconnected. They're not. They are the entire universe expressing itself as an individual perspective, but you are the entire universe. So, I think it's a very simplistic mantra, but it does help me to always, like right before I go to sleep, it helps me to align with the truth. I am not Emmanuel. I am not this character. I am so much more than that. We are the entire universe. We are simply the universe expressing itself through a conscious expression, uh, as self. In the moment you start to realize you were never disconnected to begin with, that's when these magical doors open. That's when your spiritual abilities start showing themselves. That's when you start to feel more connected, more complete, more whole in a way. And it's simply just by validating it. It's about getting rid of the incorrect definition of self, that you're just human. You're just this character. You're many, many characters all happening at once, because there is no time and space, all happening in the same place, the same time. A difficult concept for humans to understand, that time is man-made, but you're everything. And therefore, you have the ability to tap into all the information that you need. You have the ability to manipulate the energy. It's not forcing the energy or controlling the energy. You can't control energy. You can work together with it. You have to have a team bonding with it. You have to understand that your energy influences the energy that surrounds you. Therefore, you have to work together and make sure you send out the right requests, so the energy can then provide the right requested items, right? The right requested experiences. So repeat over and over, I am the universe. You're not just a speckle of the universe. You're not just a part of God. You are God expressing itself through you, as you're creating this unique experience for yourself. It is experiencing itself. Okay, so understand that as you are everything, you're always connected. Therefore, the answers are always there. Therefore, you have the ability to choose freely how to create and experience this current temporary physical reality. That's what it comes down to. You are the universe.
Brilliant. Somebody gave me a mantra like 13 years ago when I started to pop, but it was for running. So it was like I'm one with the universe, I run with the universe, something like that. I've forgotten my own mantra for that. We've reached the interactive stage before we close out the show. And you get a big sushi menu of choices here. You can do more than one, but one's plenty. I can
Okay.
light some sage from Texas. You catch it in France. I can show light on my hands, but you'll get extra. I can put up an angel photo. I can put up a famous drawing or painting or whatever it is, artistic rendering of an Arcturian. You can have a Syrian and then close your eyes and meet her. Or you can say, hey, sock it to me, whole big universe, sit there with your eyes shut, but get a little more extra flavor than you normally do. Both galactic, angels, loving beings. If it's Alan Watts and it's Carl Jung, who's someone else, Mother Teresa. But which sounded the most interesting to you? And I'll put up a couple photos just so you see extra for choices. You might be like pink, blue. Here's some angels. Silhouette as the guardian angel at this end, but also Dr. Karen Wyatt, episode 110. People should check that out. How she knew she wanted to be a doctor was this angel. Which fun, interactive, this is like being at a playground. Which jungle gym do we go on?
Well, I would prefer the saging. I love saging. It's one of my favorite activities to do because I do feel, as a very sensitive person, I get very, although I protect myself and I make sure that my aura is nice and strong. It can sometimes still be daunting to be around people. I take on their illness sometimes, people with headaches. I go into a store to do my grocery shopping, and then I pick up their headaches. And so I sage a lot. And I think this is something that a lot of people, everybody who will be watching this will be able to absorb that cleansing energy, because there is no time, there is no space. So we can all benefit from the saging.
And I forgot to say the one rule or bit of structure I've got at this end, which is set your intent. If you want to smell it, you're gym in Tokyo and it's 2030, the year. You're watching the show way late, but it's okay. You can catch saves through two screens, Sarah and Cape Town. I'm going to light this. So set your intent. Ask the universe angels to get you out of your head into your heart. Make it nice. Amen. Rock and roll. Thank you from India. Om Saram. Whatever way works for you. But just own it. Trust that you're being heard. And as I light it, you might be getting it early. Who knows? But when you see the smoke, let the smoke do its job. Let angels do the job. Let the universe do its job. Be in your heart. I don't want to catch my eyebrows there. I was getting close. One dad joke. You already heard this before the show, but they haven't necessarily heard it. Santa's reindeer, Blitzen and Dancer, just those two. Why do they drink so much coffee, Blitzen and Dancer? Because they're Santa's Starbucks. And as you're laughing, you know you're letting go. No one has a fake laugh. Maybe one out of 1,000, but otherwise, for the 999 others, catch a little sage. But if anybody wants to go crazy rock star groovy good, close your eyes and get flowers, and then catch ocean or some extra invigorating, fun experience. And Emmanuel, are you in France? Are
Mm.
you getting a little bit of sage? Ça
I,
va?
I can smell it actually. I know this sounds weird and kooky, but I actually can smell it. So yeah,
I love
it's
it.
good.
You did great. Okay, how do you want to close this out? Everyone's somewhere in their unique life path. It ain't easy. There's ebb and flow. Um, and I'll do Yoda's voice for you to leave you laughing because with that, you're going to get some sort of inspiration to close out the show. Here it is. I'm totally throwing myself under the cosmic bus. Do, do not. There is no try. Okay, so how do we shut this show down and you leave us just regaled with great advice or insight?
Well, I just want to leave you guys with the following. A lot of people, I was born with this, this openness. I've been channeling since I was about 4, according to my parents, saying weird stuff that I shouldn't be knowing at that age. But a lot of people think that it's a gift. It's something unique, and it's not for everybody. The thing is, we're all channelers, we're all healers, we're all communicators, we're all messengers. I think it's really important to understand that, what certain people might be doing more naturally doesn't mean that no, that it's not accessible to everyone, because it is. So go inwards, really start communicating with the other aspect of you. See that other aspect definitely as your friend. And yeah, start working together. Stop being in the state of resistance and start embracing the other part of you that has all the answers. Trust, trust the process, flow, feel your today, choose your today, and just keep on flowing. You'll see you'll get exactly to where you need to be.
Oh, wonderful. I'm going to do a shout out to Cynthia Sue Larson, who's the Mandela Effect. I think she wrote a book on it. I've had her as a guest once. She's coming back on. But also Sarah Brestman Cosme. You've already, I think, done an event with her before, but one's now coming up in 2026. Do you mind on the off chance someone tells Sarah, who was wonderful as a guest? I think she's coming back on again here too. I wouldn't have done my job right if I didn't invite her back on. She was wonderful.
Yeah,
But can you,
she's
yeah,
great.
can you plug her and just do a sweet comment about her? You wouldn't be interacting with her again if you weren't a fan. So, what do you have to say to Sarah if she ever sees this or somebody's like, oh my God, Emmanuelle was talking about you in 2025 on this show and it was wonderful? What would you say to her if she just snuck a peek?
Well, one, I'm very proud of her. We've had a session, a very, very brief session, a long time ago in 2016, and she allowed spirits to guide her and to follow through, and it brought her to where she is today. So I'm very happy that she was brave enough to follow their advice, to follow their guidance, and to trust the process, even though at that time when she received it, she was completely not open to any of the ideas, the suggestions that they had said. So yeah, I can't wait to see her. She's coming to 2026 to France. We're going to have a live event together. So yeah, I'm proud of her. I'm proud of her. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job.
And I think she plugged you on her show. I forget
It's
everything.
possible.
I'm a blank. But and I think her show's already come out. So I think she plugged you as that person. She may or may not have said your name, but that was you. So, congratulations. I had no idea we went full circle. That's really cool. And I want to thank you,
Yeah.
Emmanuel McIntosh in France. You gave us just a wonderful experience. People, I think, should be able to feel your vibe. You're welcome to come back on. It'll be early 2026 if you want to tape late 2025. Let us know. And again,
Sure, sign me up.
okay, I'll send you the email and thank you very much for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love. You were wonderful.
Well, thank you for the invite. It was a lot of fun.
And as you would say, you are wonderful because there's no time. So, yay. Thank you again.
You're welcome.